Hey, Teaching with Tenia, welcome back to my channel. Hey, I'm back. Yes, y'all, it's been way too long. Hopefully you guys have saw my updated video on the last one. Be sure to check that out, or if this is the first one, hello, welcome back. In this video, I'm talking about ways to be a proactive parent because while I was gone and transitioning out of the classroom, I have found myself reading a lot of emails and just parents reaching out about ways to help their kid. Education, everything is going crazy, and right now more than ever parents need to be as involved as they can in their child's educational journey, and I'm so excited to be back to share those types of experiences with you guys. If you have not checked out my Parenting 101 series down in my shorts, I'm having a really good time with shorts, so I may be doing them more often. I would love to chat with you guys down there as well. So for the verse of the day, it is Psalms 105, which says, "For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations." So I love that scripture because it's a great introduction into how I got to where I am today and why I am so passionate about parents doing what they're supposed to do, not only as a teacher, but as a active, involved who loves kids and loves seeing them thrive. It takes a lot of parenting work behind the scenes. And I know this is controversial, but it starts at home. I cannot say this enough. It starts at home. As a teacher, we can do everything we can to make sure your child is successful. But if they don't have those foundational skills, like how to sit down in kindergarten, how to tie their shoe, how to use the bathroom, we're worried about a bunch of other things than actually teaching them. And so the Lord is good and his truth endures for all generations. I am so happy because while you guys are seeing this, it will be November 1st. And for you guys who don't know me, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Teaching with Tenia, and I have been a teacher, a lead teacher, a coach, all the things. I feel like wearing all the hats in a school system. I love seeing teachers thrive. And so I help teachers and help parents make the best educational decisions for their child. And I like to call us all a team. The educator, the parent, and the child doing what's best for them to be successful, especially now because we are preparing students for a world that has a bunch of technology and a job that may not even be there for them when they get older, especially with AI coming. So the goal is to prepare them with the skills and tools necessary to be successful. This video is dedicated to my mom because she did that for me. For those guys who do not know, I was a struggling reader as well, which is why I love teaching reading and seeing like the light bulb go off, because I believe 95% of kids can read if they are taught. A lot of times students are not taught, or they have so many gaps in their education system, they're just trying to string words along. And it's defeating, especially once you get to third grade and you realize that everybody else is learning without you. It can be heartbroken. A lot of students are heartbroken and defeated. That's why I loved my time in the classroom in third grade, because I was able to fill in those gaps. And most of the time it was because they were not poured into, or they weren't developmentally ready in K and first grade. And teaching students how to read in like 8 to 16 weeks was literally phenomenal because I was able to fill in those gaps for them. And seeing the light bulb goes off, literally what makes me happy. But I am passionate about this because my mom invested in me. She was such a proactive parent in my life. And now she has been gone for 10 years, which is crazy. November 1st, 2015 is when the Lord called her home. But my mom did 3 things that has made me successful in life today, even without her being here. The first thing my mom did was create a loving environment. She created a loving environment for my sister and I to be ourselves and not be afraid to make mistakes. And she invested in our strengths. Like, yes, all kids have strengths, but also in our weaknesses. We were not the best at everything, and she taught us that it takes time, energy, and effort to get to where you want to be. And I don't think that's being taught enough, because it's like, oh, I'm not good at it, let me just not invest in it or not put time, energy, and effort into it, especially because they call like our generation and below the microwave babies. Why are you being microwave babies? Because things take time, and I know patience is a virtue, and it does take time for people to learn that. But kids, especially at an early age, need to realize that, hey, I'm not good in this area, but these are ways I can get better at it. And I think many times parents like to shove who they are on their kids, and it basically cripples them, whether it's in sports, academics, instruments. Like, a kid has to be able to be themselves and be who God's called them to be, not who you call them to be. And so that could be a little tricky. So the second thing my mom did was allow us to invest in our strengths. If we're good at we were like math whiz. Me, my mom, my sister can do math like no tomorrow. But the problem came with me, especially for reading. So she allowed us to explore our strengths, but also, yeah, tap into our weaknesses, because whatever you're not good at, we're going to figure it out. Whether it was going to tutoring, Huntington, Kumon, literally whatever we needed to do, having to drive me early to school to go to the reading specialist to make sure that I had what I needed to be successful, because I was not reading. And also I went to a school where I went behind in my reading scores, and my mom was like, yeah, no, we're not having that. She did not want me to be crippled by the fact that I couldn't read. Instead, she found ways and support systems to help me be successful in reading. Even in sports, like for example, my sister loved playing basketball. I loved soccer at first. Basketball was not my first love, but over the time I did grow to love it, and now it's my favorite sport besides football. But yeah, she invested in us, even though I wasn't the best at basketball, but guess what? She made sure that I had training and was on teams to make sure that I could sharpen my skills. So even where I was not the best at, like, she made sure that that wasn't a weakness for me or wasn't crippling for me, because the goal is to raise and to produce well-rounded children, not only be so good academically that they forget that academic is as important as well. And at some point, sports don't last forever, the instrument doesn't last forever, and they're going to be out of your house at some point, and they have to be able to provide for themselves and create an income. I know jobs are like basically fleeting nowadays, and so do they have the skills and knowledge to be successful without you, is basically where my mom allowed us to say, hey, we're not good in this area, but we're going to work on it, instead of just pushing it to the side. I have seen countless of situations in my classroom of parents that are like, okay, I'm letting you know this is your child's weakness and you're not doing anything about it. So when they grow up, they still feel insecure or not confident in that area because nobody invested into them, and they know that they don't know how to read, so therefore they're going to act out or do other things instead of investing in that skill. Or I remember a teacher telling me that one student was a phenomenal whiz at math, but she was not the best at reading. And so this just took a lot out of her, and she would go into herself and not as confident because she wasn't good at that area. But no matter what, my mom was able to call us up and call us out. We're not going to sit here and shrink in a corner because we can't do something. We're going to learn to advocate for ourselves and figure it out. And I'm a true believer, even I taught my students, is everything is figure outable. You need to ask a question, find some other resources. Even if someone tells you no, how do you sharpen your weaknesses so that they can balance out your strengths and be a great person all around, not just good in one area, to be multifaceted human beings like God called us to be. And the third thing that made my mom super successful at parenting was she was intentional about who we are and what we are about. Having core family values that we're not going to go out there and be disrespectful. That's just not what you're going to do. And mind you, I lost my mom at 14. So she did all of this in a short amount of time while also pouring into herself and her dreams and her careers. It was a lot for sure, but I hope me and my sister, like, we're paying that off and we're paying that back, you know? So I'm super proud of the things that she taught us then. I was like, oh, shoot, I don't need to know how to do this. But now that I realize, oh, we don't have a lot of time. We don't know how much time we have here on earth. So being super intentional about sharpening your child's skills and being intentional about who are they going to be or who are they becoming along this educational journey, because it can be a lot. I have seen phenomenal parenting where parents have poured into their child and they became successful in their own right. And success may look different. You have to define it for each child. There's no one size fits all approach, like the education system. Like, you are responsible for your child's education, not the teacher, not Joey down the street, not the trash man. You are. And I don't know where that's been getting conflicted, but as a parent who God has entrusted you with your child, how can you make sure that child is as successful as they can be and take a more proactive approach? So I know it's really hard right now with different family dynamics, different family situations, but the child is most important, because without being poured into, most children lash out in other ways. I'm going to stop right there. But my heart behind this is I have seen parents that have been a more relaxed approach, and their kid just turns out to do whatever and be whatever. And then you realize they're in 5th grade and little Johnny can't read. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't know he couldn't read. How couldn't you? Because you're not investing in your child or talking to them or figuring out where their strengths and weaknesses are. But also, that kid probably would have loved to tell you if they felt a safe space to do it. Okay. So I'm going to leave that alone for now, but this has been laid on my heart for a long time now. I'm just not putting it out. But speaking of proactive parents, I have been doing my Parenting 101 series. Now I'm introducing my Proactive Parent 101 guide, which is interactive. So it's an interactive guide that walks you through 5 keys to get out of the passenger seat of your child's education and drive that thing home, because your child deserves it. And at the end of the day, a lot of parents want to be successful or want to be active in their child's life, but don't have the tools, energy, and resources to be successful. So if you are interested in this, the link will be down in the description box below, where I give you the 5 keys to be a proactive parent. It doesn't matter if your kid's in public school, private school, homeschool, you can still be proactive in your child's life. And also, what is it like to plan for the future? I know a lot of questions have came in about things like this, so I'm going to answer them here. And as a parent, I know you can be very frustrated. It may look like the system's just all bad and my kid's never going to be able to do whatever. That is, to be honest, a victim approach. And I realized a lot of parents are where they are because of their circumstances. But the goal is for children to be better than the next generation, Remember my scripture, for the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting. When you wake up in the morning and your child has like a new day, you guys get to embrace his truth, and that endures for generation and generation. So here are a few things I know that parents are frustrated about with the education system, like the lack of transparency and understanding, because there are a lot of stuff going on. And to be honest, there are a lot of high stakes standards as well, that teachers are under a lot of pressure and they can't really give your baby sweetie pie the one-on-one attention they deserve. And so that's why I am inviting you to this Parenting 101 interactive guide, because you get to decide, hey, this works for my kid, this doesn't work with my kid. And I also teach you how to partner with your teacher, your child's teacher, to be successful. Limited access and support. I understand that tutoring or the lack of support can be very frustrating and crippling to parents, but I'm here to assure you that, first off, book a call with me because we can definitely make a plan, but also you know that if you don't invest in your child now, you're going to be paying for it later. There are people that are on the street or have different circumstances because nobody invested in them and poured into them to get what they needed. And even sometimes that happens, but at least the kid knows how to have the skills and knowledge necessary to get back on their feet or figure out the right next step in their life. I know parents were also upset about the time capacity and constraints. Now, this is tough because I know that people make time for what they want to make time for, but with going to practice and all the things, all the running around that parents have to do, it takes really 20 to 30 minutes a day to fill in a child's gaps. If you need to ask the teacher, hey, this child is struggling in this way, or even if you're homeschooled, it's just you. Imagine a teacher that has 25 kids that they have to figure out how that child is struggling. And little increments every day makes a world of a difference. And as a teacher, let me tell you, I can tell the difference between the the parents that worked with their child and the ones that don't. And usually the ones that I didn't have to start from ground zero because their parents did nothing, I was able to take them further faster because they already had that baseline of understanding and knowledge, as opposed to these friends, I had to teach every single thing. And like I said, it's not up to the teachers. That's what the school system is for, but ultimately God made you responsible for your child. And so I know it can be a touchy topic, especially with parenting, but hear my heart behind it. That the goal is to be more proactive, and you're guiding your child's education instead of being in the passenger seat, letting the education system do all the work. Because, you have probably seen the statistics yourself. Most people are performing below grade level, so that speaks for itself. I know parents also struggle with financial barriers and emotional guilt and stress. Let me tell you, there is no parent that has regret for making the sacrifices early and often in their child. Most of the regrets come from when their child's in middle school reading at the 3rd grade level because they did not fill in those gaps in those 4 years, or they realize that, oh shoot, I should have caught it earlier. It doesn't matter if your baby Pookie Bear is in K, 1st, 8th, 7th, 12th. You can help them. by creating a plan and sticking to it. And I know this is a lot I'm throwing at you, but based on the challenges, everybody's circumstances are different. The goal is to be in charge of your child's education. And so I created this guide to help with that. And also it's interactive, so you get to plug and chug, and I teach you how to create the vision for your child's education system, but also, educational journey, but also realize that there is a system out there that I understand everybody cannot be homeschooled, private school, whatever, but your child can thrive in public school if you are taking the necessary steps to fill in the gaps or set that great foundation at home, okay? So I'm gonna leave it here. I know that was a lot. I'm so glad to be back on YouTube. Make sure you have your post notifications on because I will be posting every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and y'all can hold me to that in the comments. Thank you guys for sticking around and being here during my hiatus. I'm so thankful for you guys and glad that we are all teammates and doing what's best for all children to be successful in their educational journey. See you guys in my next video. Peace.